Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on your broadcast. My name is Radek Pluhar and I'm in charge of Home Credit in the role of CEO since 2023. But before that I served long term as a Chief Risk Officer for Home Credit since 2015. So I have a long 9 years of history with Home Credit.
And can you tell us a little bit about Home Credit? And as you said, when we were preparing, our story goes a little bit far away. It was 2019 when we started together, right?
Home Credit is a great story of a Czech company bringing a product and success in finance industry and across the world. We served 10 countries at the peak of our expansion in 2019. We have made some 62 million credit decisions in 2019, onboarding 25 million customers in that year, ending up with many more, of course, as active customers at the end of 2019. So that was a great story. We started in a small little town in southern Moravia, and we have grown to serve China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Belarus, in the Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, India, in the United States, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic, naturally.
That's a great story. And you had over those 10 countries, if I can imagine, you had like different architectures, different as it grew, right? Different technological infrastructures. How did you keep it together?
Well, that was a challenge. Let me not underestimate that. Most of the Asian markets were served within one infrastructure, but the legacy systems in the Czech, Slovak markets, in Russia, have been in place and have not been replaced to upgrade the infrastructure. But we have developed a reporting infrastructure around that, and the key operational systems have been served centrally. So we had a great control over what's happening, and that has also allowed us to launch really sophisticated and high quality products despite the underdeveloped infrastructure in some of those markets.
I can ask you, how did you start with that project when we started together? How you were actually choosing between Keboola, and giving us trust on that, or large incumbents like Silicon Valley companies that have been around for 30 years? What was your decision tree?
Well, it was the first part of the decision tree was to recognize that we have a problem.
Yeah, that's always good.
And we really had a problem because the growth was rather exponential. We have launched businesses in Asia, some of them in 2013, 14, and they have gotten through a slow phase of early growth. But in 2017 and 18, we have seen really an exponential uptake of our products. And again, that has culminated in 2019, the last pre-COVID year, where we had massive numbers of customers coming in, massive process challenges in serving those customers, but also we had a challenge on actually fully understanding what was happening in the portfolio, what was happening in the customer experience, what was happening in the credit risk. And we have overcome that, or we wanted to overcome that, by moving away from the systems that were, state of the art at that time. All the SQLs, all the Excels, and let's admit it, Excel is the universality of the tool is such that it's difficult to challenge in certain circumstances. But we ended up recognizing that we have a desperate need for uniform understanding of the issues that we have, easy distribution of the latest knowledge and data, i.e. democratization, as people like to say these days, and also safe distribution of the data. We are a regulated entity. We need to comply with quite a few regulations, both globally and locally. So we needed to make sure that whatever tool we select, it allows us to distribute the data in a secure and safe way.
And what was the challenge with that? I understand you had different architectures, but why didn't it work before?
Yeah, the thing was that while recognizing that challenge, we have found that there are dozens of tools that promise to deliver on the upper part, meaning the customer-facing interface, reporting, easy to click, beautiful design, nice user experience. But what we have found out when we looked a bit more closer was that all of them basically assume that the data is readily available in the predefined format.
Yeah.
And that was a deal breaker for us because and I don't think there's any company in the world that would have the data readily available. So we were actually looking for something that would give us early success in actually bridging the, and I don't want to call legacy systems, but operational systems across all those 10 geographies that we serve quickly all the way to whatever front end we select. And we ended up opting for Keboola solution because it felt at that time, it only felt, now we can say it worked, but at that time it felt like a tool that is flexible enough, that promised that the data will be processed and pre-processed quickly. So it's not a 5-year project, but it's rather a few months project for the first report, and the other reports should follow shortly after that in a matter of weeks. And Keboola delivered and over-delivered on that. We have seen really super effective and efficient delivery. We did not have to expand the reporting team just to support the project needs. It was all happening within the reporting teams of risk and finance, who were the first customers of the reports. It was happening quite quickly. It was quickly adopted and served by the IT people. It was easy for them to support the Keboola framework. And then we opted for Power BI, I would say a generic tool that Microsoft has developed. And the time in between us deciding that we go for it to the first report was really short. And now report, we shouldn't think of a simple piece of PowerPoint with few charts. It's a really complex thing for us in finance, in risk. The granularity that we required from those reports and the flexibility and customizability of those reports was quite extensive, and it over-delivered. So we started with 2. We now ended up with 38 reports, and they serve credit risk, many of them, finance, lifetime profitability calculations, operational risk needs, HR topics. We have asset liability management tools that are basically reported through this framework. And the number of use cases goes beyond that, but it has become a lived experience, and people got used to it so much that they don't even think there's a layer in between the report and the operations.
It seems like what you describe is that the project can happen to be a kind of data operating system for your company. It started with is it correct to describe it?
I can certainly say so. There are some operational tools that we have, loan decision-making systems, collection systems, accounting systems. But the whole reporting, if you go and ask anybody in the company for a report that is meant to be authoritative, single version of truth, they would go for the one that has been served by, or that has been provided by Power BI and underpinned by Keboola tool.
That's really, thank you. That's really interesting. You mentioned, like when you did the introduction to the beginning of project, that you actually are using the data to do decisions in customer experience as well. This is something I wanted to ask you. What is kind of like, and how has it changed between 2019 and now? The main purpose or main issues of your customers, that has it developed with the COVID crisis, or has it developed with the AI? What is the kind of like, and can you reflect on that better thanks to data, or is it just always the same?
It's never the same. We are serving mass population segments of customers in relatively volatile markets, and the stability is not the word you would typically use, and that applies to customer behavior, customer shopping habits, customer choices of durable goods purchases, customer choices of financing tools. So we have seen, I would say, many trends. Some of them have proven to be sustained over the long term. Some of them have been blips in the charts only. But what is important for us is that the granularity of the reporting that we now have and that is available to us in risk department, finance department, marketing department, CRM department, is the same set of data points, and we can have much better conversation about what is the latest that we observe, while having an Excel in CRM and having an Excel in finance, and those two guys trying to reconcile the data, that would not be an effective way of doing so.
I understand. Thank you. When you were saying, like of the project and how it kind of like came together, are there some quantifiable benefits of that? Is there kind of like a number when you do a business case that you say, oh, this is what we thought, this is what it costs, and this is the uplift in X, Y, Z, or that you can attribute to the whole project or not? Because, like, if I understand correctly now, the data is democratized throughout the company thanks to the project, right? So, do you measure the ROI on the project somehow?
I should probably not say it, but I don't. I don't. I have observed great savings in the reporting area, because I simply know that if I were to achieve the same quality, authoritative power and availability of the reports across the company, and at those peak times, we were a company of 150,000 people, so sizable one. Knowing that it was the project was run by 2 people in the existing departments, I don't need to measure anything more. I know that it has just happened, and I don't ask people what great ideas they have come up with after they clicked through the reports, and what striking ideas they have come across, what hypotheses they went to test that has proven to be right or wrong. So I cannot serve with an ROI on the project.
Thank you. But you said that this is an interesting point. You said that the number of people stay the same. Do you have an estimate? But because you talk about how many times more people you would need if you would want to do it in the traditional way?
Well, I can certainly estimate the number of people that I would need to support the existing SQL backend and SQL queries. How long would a business user, wait for the new SQL query being delivered, and whether it's correct or not? But what is more important for me is not that how it was created. It is that the sheer maintenance of the SQLs goes up exponentially. So the products change, the circumstances in which you sell the product change, the customer behaviors change. All of this would need permanent adjustments in the SQLs. I just don't need to do that at all. If I launch a new product, I say in which category it belongs, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to come up with a number because I don't have that. But I would be less worried about how much manpower I need to come up with a new report. I would be much more worried about how many more people I need to maintain the existing backlog of reports.
Because it goes exponentially.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is one of the we have clients internationally in America, in London, US, like everywhere. And one of the main worries people have now is, like the not having enough talent on the market, or the talent is so expensive that if they would need exponentially more people to do it, that they could never actually do it, right? So you're saying that now you still do it with the same number of people and not expand. That's awesome. I have two more questions, if I may. One is, if you would kind of like go back, those years, and like knowing what you know now, would look at yourself, like back then, what would you say to you or any other CEO, like before they would start, like how to think about it, because like when you start, like there's many unknowns, like you don't know how much it's gonna, what framework should CEOs use to think about projects like that?
Well, there are two observations that I have made through the process. The first one was I was really skeptical about whether the project can deliver on the promise, because I have seen so many attempts at similar aims, like democratizing data access, a single version of truth, and automation of the processes, all the ETL factories that people tend to run. And I thought, okay, well, let's go for it, because this will allow us to determine early whether it's a fail or not. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a fail. So one thing to bear in mind for people who think about doing anything similar, choosing a project that has the potential to fail early rather than recognizing the failure 5 years into the project is an important part. This was not a failure, but that was something that made me warm to that idea. And the second point is rather cultural. Every single person in the company likes their own Excels. And their Excels are always better than whatever is provided centrally. And perhaps we might have benefited more from the project if we have promoted the idea of Power BI more, I don't want to say forcefully, but more enthusiastically in the early days, so that the popular adoption of the tool would have been faster. People would have gained the trust in the tool faster, so that we would not spend too much time overcoming this inertia of, well, actually in my old Excel I still keep it and I still update it, and the number is different. So why is that? So the second item or second observation I would make here is that once there is a tangible lift opportunity to go through a report, let's use it and let's promote it so that the popular adoption of that tool and new approach is faster.
We see that often, that the community around the data, and how the self-service data management and promotion of wins is one of the very much underutilized tools how to actually spread it faster. We now work for several banks, and we have 2 banks from the same group, and the first one took a long time to start and get to huge success. But the second one actually learned all the lessons, and within four months they already have over 70 projects across the whole company, 200 people working with Keboola and data. and not only looking at the data, making hypotheses, but automating processes throughout the company, which I think is awesome.
That's quite impressive. Yeah.
I think it's them. we just give you a tool. Yeah. But if I may add one more question, so I have two more. What advice would you give me or my salespeople? If they call any other or some other CEO similar to you or CFO similar to Indula, what should they say to get the attention of of the very, very busy people like you? So it would be interesting, because I imagine you had to have hundreds of calls, people want to tell you about something every.
You need your salespeople need the domain expertise. They need to come up with specific examples of what they see as potential, pain points, rather than saying we have a great tool that does many ETLs and process and data automation. A typical user does not know what to visualize under that. So first, showing examples and understanding the industry where the potential customer operates would be the first thing. Second thing, go for quick wins. It is quite unusual that you can see a win in an IT project in a matter of weeks or months. Mm-hmm. Yet, we know it is possible. At least in our case, it was possible. The combination of Keboola and the Power BI has worked quite nicely for us. So overcoming skeptics, I was one, and their comments is much easier if you can show tangible result in a matter of weeks and months rather than years.
Even in such a highly governed environment like yours, right?
Indeed, it is possible. It is possible. It's obvious that your product is not probably suited for small entrepreneurs. It really serves people like we had many tens of millions of active customers at the end of 2019, and they needed to be served. They behaved. There was analytics around it. That's where your forte is.
Thank you. And last question, a little bit in the future, if I may, the outlook. We've been together using data and machine learning to actually automate a lot of processes around you. As you say, there's a lot of customer-facing things, etc., right? But the whole world, and you guys have been amazing in using machine learning for credit risks and everything, right? That's just like how it's your secret sauce, right? But the whole world had this AI awakening moment last year with the launch of ChatGPT. How do you guys think about what's going to be happening next 3, 4, 5 years? Because I know you are very good at analyzing, the global trends and where are people going to move and what are the behaviors changes of your customers. Do you expect some major change like iPhone launch or something that you are already preparing for, or do you expect the AI more to be used in your daily operations to streamline the operations and automate?
It's a difficult one. We've been this company is built by people with strong quantitative skills, and we have embraced AI long before large language models have become popular. So on the quantitative side, decision making, optimization models, hyper personalization of offers for the customers. Internal process optimization using detailed measurements of the processes and efficiency gains out of that. That has been part of what we have done until now, and we can certainly do more of that. But the large language models, ChatGPTs of the world, are bringing yet another angle to it, and we expect that. Both internally, but also vis-a-vis the customers, we will have better, cheaper tools to improve internal efficiency by using ChatGPT-like tools, and bring more, sounds strange, human touch to certain conversations that we have with the customers, even though the customers would actually recognize that that they either have a conversation or chat with a machine. But surprisingly, many actually prefer having a conversation with a machine. They don't want to see anybody and hear anybody changing tone of voice because the conversation doesn't go smoothly. They don't want to hear anybody with a different accent. So it is something that we truly believe that will bring another level of or another field where people fight for the better customer experience. Where the large language models will play a significant role.
This is really interesting for us as well, because like the large language models are easy to use out of the box now. But if you want to adjust them for the company, specific, and for the information you have inside a company, it's called RAG, R-A-G, right? The memory for them. That has become one of our fastest growing actually areas how people use Keboola. Because like not to deliver data only to people, but to deliver data to large language models, and update it. ChatGPT, especially since it got a voice, it became one of my closest friends. I have hours and hours of conversation. I can speak topics that nobody else wants to speak to me about. Which, if I may, a personal question about that, actually, one of the topics I speak with ChatGPT most is the geopolitical situation. And you mentioned that one of the things you think about is the deglobalization, and it's like beyond the scope of what we originally wanted to talk to. But like, how do you? I see a world where the post-American world with the ending of the Bretton Woods system. How do you think the global supply chains are going to change? You don't have to answer, or we can check whatever. But
no, the thing is, I don't want to be one of those CEO slash philosophers or slash politologists, but I have some hands-on experiences, and many are related to growth of nationalism and nationalistic thinking, increase in market protectionism, much lesser embrace of foreign investors, much more push for tax revenue, where the foreign investors are potentially the most vulnerable ones. Let's admit it. And but it also starts. It also goes to the data sovereignty and IT sovereignty. So suddenly, global clouds just need to be co-located in the countries. Payment processing systems cannot be served by international outsourcers. They rather need to be served by local providers, and all of that increases the system complexity. It increases the regulatory complexity. Suddenly, you have regulators in Europe who compete for power with the regulators in local geographies. And then you still want to share the data somehow. You need to depersonalize it, you need to make it perhaps less granular, but you don't want to lose the information value ultimately. So that brings another set of challenges that we haven't faced 5 years ago, but they are quite obvious now.
That was one of our projects together, first ones in Vietnam, when there was a local laws that we had to abide to, right? And if I remember correctly, that was one of the first implementations of Keboola in Hungary, where we actually were doing the hybrid model, That some of the things were in cloud, some of the things were actually pre-calculated locally because they couldn't leave the borders. And I think, like, as bad as it is, you know, for like from the philosophical point of view, it also brings a lot of opportunity, especially for us. I mean, because like now when money is expensive, people are expensive, and the world is fragmented, we actually see more and more multinational companies turning to us with, hey, we want to have it cheaper, so more efficient, not only effective. We need to have it secure, and we need to abide to different laws, you know, and different kind of like circumstances. But still, as you, in your case, want to consume it together on the top level. And as you said, it goes exponential if you do it traditional way.
We have had great 30 years of basically uniform, monotonous growth. So it's not unusual in the long history of economy to observe that there are hiccups and that there are moments of globalization thriving, and then there are moments of protectionism growing. And yes, it creates opportunities. For us, it's a challenge that technology helps to serve.
Yeah, thank you. It's kind of like when you look at Ray Dalio cycles or Zines, you know, like the guy who wrote the accidental superpower. It's kind of like all nicely connected together. Thank you for your time. I would love to, you know, continue these discussions for hours, but maybe with the beer.
Perhaps sometime. Thank you very much for having me here. It was a pleasure.